Do you have a north-facing balcony or a backyard completely blocked by your neighbor's house and think you can never grow a lush green garden? Don't give up just yet. Today, we're going to turn your darkest corners into a mini food forest with 10 crops that are literally born to love the shade. Especially number 10, it's a pricey gourmet herb at the supermarket, but it grows like a weed right underneath your other pots. Every week, I share grounded insights on organic gardening and intentional living. Hit subscribe to ensure you're getting authentic, earth-first advice you can actually trust, straight to your feed. First up, taking the crown as the undisputed champion and the king of shade gardens, lettuce. While many people think of shade as just a backup plan, for lettuce, it's actually a blessing in disguise. If you've ever grown lettuce in the summer, you know that intense heat and sun will instantly trigger its survival mode. The plant shoots up, flowers, and secretes a milky sap. This process is called bolting. Once a plant bolts, the leaves become incredibly bitter and completely inedible. But here's the secret. When you grow lettuce against a shaded wall or under a big tree canopy, you're basically tricking Mother Nature. The shade keeps the soil temperature nice and cool, completely putting the brakes on bolting. As a result, you'll easily double your harvest window compared to growing them in the scorching sun. For a shade garden, skip the tight head-forming varieties like iceberg. Instead, go for loose-leaf types like black-seeded Simpson or Grand Rapids. Then use the cut and comb again method. Just harvest the mature outer leaves for your meals and leave the center intact to keep producing new growth. This way, you'll have a continuous supply of sweet, bitter-free lettuce all season long. Coming in at number 2 is a super familiar green and Popeye's absolute favorite, spinach. The biggest enemy of spinach isn't pests or diseases, it's actually the intense heat. This plant is strictly cold-hardy. When exposed to too much direct sunlight, the leaves age rapidly, become tough and fibrous, and completely lose their natural sweetness. That's exactly why a shady corner is absolute paradise for this green. The shade acts like a natural air conditioner, keeping the soil around the roots perfectly moist and cool. Because photosynthesis happens at a slower, more relaxed pace, shade-grown spinach produces large, thick, juicy leaves with a stunning deep green color. However, there's one critical thing you must keep in mind: soil drainage. Without direct sunlight to speed up evaporation, the soil in shaded areas stays wet for a very long time. If you water them on autopilot like an open-sun garden, the roots will waterlog and rot instantly. Wait until the top layer of soil is completely dry before watering again. For the best results, pick a spot with partial shade, getting about 3 hours of gentle morning sun, and watch your spinach absolutely thrive. Sitting at number 3 is a wildly popular superfood powerhouse, kale. Specifically, varieties like lacinato, also known as dinosaur kale, and red Russian. This leafy green is absolutely perfect for tossing into raw salads or blending into your weight loss smoothies every morning. However, if you grow kale in a garden blasting with intense sun, the leaves will become tough, leathery, and punchy bitter. That's because the heat triggers the plant's defense mechanism, pumping up the bitter compounds and causing it to age way too fast. But in a cool, shady corner, it's a whole different story. Without that blazing sun, the plant doesn't suffer from sudden dehydration, allowing natural sugar molecules to build up inside the leaf tissues instead of being broken down. As a result, shade-grown kale comes out incredibly tender, crisp, and so much sweeter. Since kale has a robust root system and a tall stem, there's only one thing you need to keep in mind when growing it in partial shade. Make sure the plant has plenty of airflow. Avoid letting the leaves get too overcrowded, as a sunless environment can easily become a breeding ground for mold and mildew. Keep this in check, and you'll be harvesting farm-to-table organic salads that taste straight out of a high-end restaurant. Wrapping up our leafy green segment is a vegetable that is both delicious and absolutely stunning to look at: Swiss chard. If you want to brighten up a gloomy, shaded balcony, Swiss chard is your answer. This vegetable features thick, broad stems in a vibrant rainbow of colors, from deep crimson and bright yellow to electric orange. Growing a pot of Swiss chard in a shady corner looks just like having a high-end ornamental plant. In terms of growth habits, Swiss chard is a close relative of beets, which makes them incredibly shade-tolerant. While the harsh summer sun can easily cause leaf scorch and wilting, they actually grow very steadily in a cool, shaded spot, keeping their leaf and stem colors remarkably deep and vibrant. When it's time to harvest, use the same trick as you did with lettuce. Pick the mature outer leaves first, leaving the young center growth untouched so the plant can keep producing. Both the leaves and the stalks of this chard are edible. The leaves are tender like spinach, while the stalks are incredibly crunchy and sweet. Tossing them into a garlic stir-fry or simmering them in a soup makes your meal both delicious and visually stunning. Here's a hard truth you absolutely need to know if you don't want all your gardening effort to go down the drain. Not all shade is created equal, and knowing exactly what kind of shade you have will make or break about 90% of your success. In the gardening world, shade is broken down into 3 main tiers. First up, partial shade. This means getting 3 to 4 hours of gentle morning sun, followed by a cool, shaded afternoon. This is absolute paradise for leafy greens. Next is dappled shade. This is when sunlight filters through the canopy of mature trees, creating shifting spots of light. It allows cool weather crops to photosynthesize perfectly without getting overheated. And finally, deep shade. This refers to spots that are completely blocked from the sun 24/7, like right under a wooden deck. Plants will survive here, but they'll grow much slower, and the soil stays damp. This constant moisture is exactly what attracts slugs, the #1 enemy of shaded gardens. These guys can completely wipe out your entire pot of baby lettuce in just one single night. But don't worry, I'll share a bulletproof trick to get rid of them for good at the end of this video. For now, let's move on to a group of shade-tolerant root vegetables that will absolutely surprise you. Coming in at number 5 and arguably the absolute champion of shade-tolerant root veggies is the radish. You'll want to opt for small, round varieties like French breakfast or cherry belle. The secret behind the radish's ability to thrive in the shade is its lightning-fast growth cycle, taking a mere 3 to 4 weeks from seed to harvest. Because they grow so quickly, they don't require a massive energy boost from the sun to swell up their roots, like carrots or potatoes do. In fact, growing radishes under the scorching summer sun can completely backfire, leaving you with roots that are pithy, woody, and intensely spicy to the point of being unpalatable. On the flip side, when grown in partial shade, radishes stay incredibly juicy, crisp, and develop a subtle, refreshing sweetness. A pro tip when growing radishes in low-light areas: never sow your seeds too densely. If they're overcrowded, they'll dump all their energy into growing tall leaves to compete for sun, leaving you with 0 roots to harvest. So make sure to thin them out and keep a spacing of about 5 centimeters apart. This gives each root enough breathing room to swell into a perfect, round radish. Next up at number 6 is the beetroot. Now this one might spark some debate, because many people firmly believe that beets absolutely require 6 to 8 hours of full sun every single day. Here's the reality: if you grow beetroots in partial shade, the roots will grow slower and turn out smaller compared to those in full sun. However, the real game changer that makes beetroot a top-tier candidate for a shaded garden actually lies in its leaves. Beet greens are actually a powerhouse superfood, packed with even higher nutrient and iron levels than the root itself, and they thrive incredibly well in the shade. So, the practical trick when growing beetroots in the shade is to simply shift your harvest goal. Throughout the growing season, you can totally prune the young outer leaves to toss into salads or make a quick garlic stir-fry. Then, by the end of the season, you'll still walk away with roots that, while on the smaller side, are incredibly sweet, dense, and completely fiber-free. It's the perfect way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone in a low-light corner of your garden. Sitting at number 7 is a leafy green that regularly features in gourmet pasta dishes or high-end salads. Arugula, also known as rocket, famous for its signature peppery bite. Arugula absolutely hates intense, scorching heat. When exposed to too much direct sun, the plant gets stressed and its essential oils spike, making the flavor intensely bitter and overwhelmingly pungent. This stress also triggers the plant to bolt to seed immediately, causing the leaves to shrink, turn tough, and get woody. That's why a cool, shaded corner is the ultimate safe haven for arugula. In the shade, the plant takes its sweet time to grow, keeping the leaves crisp and tender. Best of all, that signature peppery bite mellows out, becoming much more balanced and pleasant to eat. A quick tip for harvesting: you'll want to pick the outer leaves first, just like you would with lettuce. However, since arugula grows incredibly fast, make sure to harvest frequently while the leaves are still young. Right around hand-sized is when they're at their absolute sweetest and best texture. Don't wait until the plant gets too old, because even in the shade, overgrown leaves will lose a lot of their premium flavor and crunch. Coming in at number 8 is a leafy green that's a massive hit in the organic aisles: bok choy, also known as pak choy. Bok choy is a cool weather crop that is incredibly sensitive to high temperatures. Just like lettuce, if it's exposed to harsh, direct sunlight, the plant easily suffers from tip burn, base rot, or bolts to seed prematurely before the heads can fully form. When that happens, the stalks turn tough, stringy, and lose all their natural sweetness. This makes partial shade the ultimate sweet spot for them. When shielded from the harsh afternoon sun, bok choy maintains its ideal moisture levels. This allows the stalks to grow thick, incredibly crunchy, and burst with moisture from base to tip. When growing bok choy in a low-light spot, you've got 2 ways to go about harvesting. Option 1 is to pick them early as baby bok choy just 3 to 4 weeks after sowing. If you prefer tender, bite-sized stalks that are perfect for salads or quick stir-fries. Option 2 is to be a little patient and let them grow a bit longer for thicker, crunchier stalks. As long as your soil stays consistently moist but well-draining, that shaded corner will keep pumping out high-quality batches of bok choy. Now that we've covered our leafy greens and root vegetables, let's pivot over to the herbs. These little powerhouses don't take up much space at all, yet they can thrive in those tucked-away corners where you'd think absolutely nothing could grow. Coming in at number 9 is a classic herb dynamic duo, mint and parsley. Both of these plants are incredibly shade-loving and thrive in cooler spots. Direct summer sun can easily scorch parsley's delicate leaves and leave mint wilted, stripping away its natural essential oils. Growing them in the shade keeps their foliage vibrant green, preserves that refreshing aroma, and prevents them from drying out. However, there is one non-negotiable warning you must remember when growing mint. This plant is hyper-aggressive and highly invasive. Wherever its roots and runners spread, they will claim that territory and sprout non-stop. If you plant it directly into your garden bed in that shaded corner, it will completely take over and choke out every other vegetable around it in just a single season. So, the golden rule is to always grow mint in its own separate container. That way, you effectively contain its aggressive root system, while maximizing those dark, forgotten spots to enjoy a fresh, non-stop harvest of mint all year round. And finally, coming in at number 10 is our secret weapon and the highest value gem on today's list: sorrel. At local farmer, shell of sorrel can easily set you back $5 to $7. It's considered a premium herb thanks to its uniquely sharp, lemon-like tang that chefs love using for gourmet sauces or upscale salads. But despite that hefty price tag, growing it at home is mind-blowingly easy, especially in those low-light, shaded corners. Unlike the previous 9 greens on our list, sorrel is a true perennial. You only need to plant it once, either from seed or root division, and it will keep producing year after year. When the freezing winter hits, the plant will die back to the ground. But the moment spring arrives, it roars back to life, sending up fresh new shoots from the darkest corner of your garden, completely on its own, without you ever having to replant. When it comes to shade tolerance, sorrel is an absolute champion. Harsh sunlight only leaves the leaves scorched and tough, but in the shade they stay tender, juicy, and capture that perfectly balanced, refreshing tang. You can easily tuck it into those hidden spots underneath the canopy of larger pots, and it will still thrive. It is, without a doubt, the best return on investment for your shade garden. To turn this list into a thriving, lush reality, there are 2 non-negotiable golden rules you absolutely must master. That's because a shaded environment operates on a completely different playbook than a garden baked in full sun. First up, dial back the watering. Water evaporates much slower in shaded areas, so you need to do the finger test. Poke your finger about 2 to 3 centimeters into the soil. Only water if it feels dry to the touch, or you'll end up with root rot. Second, keep slugs in check. Instead of reaching for harsh chemical pesticides, here are 2 incredibly effective, chemical-free hacks you should use. Hack number 1 is using eggshells. Scatter crushed eggshells around the base of your plants to create a sharp, jagged barrier that slugs simply won't dare to crawl over. Hack number 2 is the famous beer trap. Just bury a plastic cup flush with the soil line and pour in a little beer. Slugs are completely obsessed with the scent of fermenting yeast. They'll climb right in to investigate and get trapped inside. As you can see, a north-facing balcony or a backyard hidden behind tall walls is not a death sentence for your dream of growing your own fresh food. By simply choosing the right crops and understanding how shade works, you can absolutely transform the darkest corners of your space into your own lush miniature jungle. So, how many hours of direct sunlight does your balcony or backyard actually get each day? And what hardiness zone are you gardening in? Drop a comment down below so we can get the conversation started. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our next setup. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.